have always heard this glorification of what it's like to becoming a parent, but I feel that this series is the first one in history to actually tell you how it is. My name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Breeders. So Breeders is an HBO series. It wrapped its first season earlier this year, but I've first gotten around to review it now because I have time and I'm dying of heat. It is so hot. It is so hot I'm not even wearing pants. I'm just standing here. That is some information you didn't need to know. Now Breeders is created by Martin Freeman, who also plays the lead role in here, and it is about Paul and Allie being parents to little Ava and Luke. Now, while they're being parents and experience all of these things that I imagine all parents go through, they also have to juggle work, irritating parents, and, tragedy and all kinds of stuff that life throw at you while have to dealing with two little, let's call them, shitheads. Now there is more to the plot in this series, but when you boil it down, it's about these two people trying to be the best parent that they can be to these two small children, while also trying to do their best to, one, don't fuck them up, and two, don't fuck them up because they are being irritating and irresponsible and selfish, and being kids. So what did I like about this series? Pretty much everything. First of all, the humor in here is very genuine. Now, I like the fact that these two parents don't give a flying fuck how they talk or for some extent behave in front of their kids. Now, I know that you should try to imprint onto them your best values so they grow up better people than you are. I get that. However, sometimes a grown-up needs to express themselves, and the best way they can do it is to throw in a fuck or a shit or a dick bag or something like that to, make you understand what they're going through. And sometimes children might be near, and sometimes children need to know and understand when they're being a little fuckhead. So, yeah, they curse around their children. Now, I know there is some controversy around that, but then again, the children are, of course, gonna hear it out in the open, out in society, in school, or in kindergarten, or wherever, because you can't shield them from these words for all eternity. It is not possible. So, why not just give them an healthy understanding on what these words are and when to use them. Now, by that being said, it doesn't mean that these two does that, but that's just my take on it. Another thing I really like about it is this show really shows you how hard it is for a parent to balance of loving and caring for this little beautiful human being and then trying to murder their fucking little ugly face because they are being unreasonable. For example, the first scene in this series just sums it up perfectly. Paul is downstairs. He's trying to figure something out, and then Ava and Luke are upstairs, fighting like children does. And while he is walking up there because he's getting a bit tired of the noise, he's telling to himself, now, be reasonable. Don't shout at them. Don't curse at them. Just tell them they need to be quiet because daddy needs to concentrate. Just make them understand this. He tells himself that while he's walking up the stairs and getting over to the door and getting ready to open it. He tells himself, just remember, be responsible. Be a good father. But as soon as he opened that door, all hell broke loose. He is shouting at them, just shut the fuck up. I am trying to work down here. Can't you understand it? Or just something along those lines. And I feel like it is representing what parents often go through, where they have to remind themselves that their normal life doesn't apply to their children. So they need to tell them why the things they're doing is wrong, but don't just shout at them. And I get that, even though that before I just talked about the cursing. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the humor in here is fantastic. I love the humor. I love the way it tells everyday stories. I love the interaction between these two parents who are behind them are talking like stuff like, I love them to death, I will give my life for them, but sometimes I want to murder them. And then they have this mutual understanding, because of course they don't want to murder them, it's just something that you say when you're irritated. And we get to see that later on, of when it really matters, they really do fucking step up and be a good parent and take care of their children. But I like the interactions about it. I like the interactions when they're talking about how they're gonna have sex when they have these two little children in the house. Are they ever gonna get married? What about work when someone has to move away to do work there? How they're gonna do the whole parent being away thing? How they're gonna juggle their parents? And also when an unwanted parent comes back into their life and kind of invading their life and also trying to influence their children in a somewhat bad way. How are you going to teach your children about death? How are you going to teach your children about life? How are you going to teach them about love and grief and all those kind of things? This series balances all that perfectly, and it sprinkles in some of the great British humor. So if you don't know the great British humor, then you are going to know that. But then again, most people have seen Monty Python, which basically is just a concentrated pack of British humor. But nevertheless, this series is funny, it is heartfelt when it wants to pull your heartstrings. Oh boy, does it pull at your heartstrings. But it doesn't do it in any cheesy way. It does it when it feels earned, because it built up these emotional aspects beforehand. And I love it. And I love all the flashbacks they get when they get these children or when they first meet, and just the story threads in there. And every episode has a theme, and the theme is basically the name of the episode. But nevertheless, I appreciate everything in here. The acting is great. It is subtle, but it is powerful. Every time they're being genuine, these actors actually put a lot into it to do those subtle acting that just sells the scene, sells the emotion, sells the moment. While also have these kind of overacting parts where they're just doing a funny scene. But nevertheless, the balance in here is perfect. The pacing in here is perfect, considering that it is small, kind of self-contained, but still not self-contained episodes, which means there is a bigger story arc going through these episodes, but the episodes can stand alone on their own. But if I had to talk about some aspect of this series that I didn't really appreciate, some of it could be some better storylines, because it is getting kind of tedious at the end that we are going through some of the same issues that a parent does. Now I know that being a parent can also be monotone, considering that what you did last Tuesday is going to do this Tuesday, because kids has routines and you have to plan your life around that. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have better story arcs, have some better moments, have some better interaction with these side characters in here, and just have a point. But because when we get to the end of the first season, all we really do is just circle back to the first episode of a point that is made there that we are now addressing. But everything in between, it just seems like that these two doesn't really have learned anything, which is a huge bummer, considering that all the time and effort and investment that we as an audience have put into it. But nevertheless, most of all, this series is great. And if I have to sum it up, yes, it has some good acting, it has some good set designs, it has a good pacing, it has some good music from now and then, and it has the best way to show you how it's really are to be a parent. I guess, because I'm not a parent yet. But it does show you that being a parent is not all sunshine and rainbows, as being in a relationship or having a job or anything, any aspect of life is not sunshine and rainbows. There will be some good days and there will be some bad days, and you have to take them both at face value and accept that they are part of life, and just hope that the good times outweigh the bad times. And that is the same of being a parent. Yes, you have small children, they are beautiful, hopefully they are the joy of life, but we also know that sometimes children are being unreasonable shitbags that's gonna make you want to pull all the hair out of your head. It's just the way it is. So hopefully the good times with the children vastly outweighs the bad time with the children. But this series shows you that both things exist and you need to deal with them. There's one way to do it, which these two does, and then there is probably, if you have to be honest, a better way to do it. For example, not being so aggressive towards your children and not curse that much in front of children. Now again, I stand by my point that I don't think you should shield your children from cursing. I just think that you should explain to them why people curse and also why they shouldn't curse, because they don't really understand the meaning behind it. Well, they will when they become teenagers, because then everyone just, holy shit. I have never said so many F-bombs or heard so many F-bombs than when I was a teenager or when I talked to teenagers. Anyway, sidetrack. So, I will say that Breeders, it is worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray. So, Breeders, have you seen it? What do you think about it? And if you had to pick which type of media most perfectly depicts how it is to really being a parent, kind of balancing the good things with the bad things, and just the small little things throughout the day that gets you really under your nerves, and then later on there's these beautiful little moments that just makes it all worth it. I would say that it is this series, but you might have another idea. So, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Comment below on your thoughts, and as always, until I see you next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Alright. I need to lay down. It is so hot. You have no idea. Holy hell, it is hot.